Welcome to this Yin full body yoga class. My name is Roseanne. I'll be your guide today. So full body lengthening, stretching, flexibility, but also we're getting into the fascial tissues with Yin as we stay in some of these prolonged poses that are very passive in nature. So there will be a little more focus on upper body today, if you're particularly tight in this area, to make sure it's a full body experience. So things that you might want to have: pillows, bolsters, a blanket is always nice for near the end of practice and as a prop. And you might think, well, this isn't very yin, Roseanne, what are you doing? A small set of weights, you don't need them, but it's nice for the little bit of shoulder mobility we have before we really get into the yin. You could have soup cans as well, right? Whatever has a little bit of weight to it, or you have two that are the same. So take those and place them on either side of your mat. Have the bolster, I'd recommend, off to the left-hand side of your mat for later use. Also, take a blanket. If you find you have limited shoulder mobility, you might want to put it overhead. And lie down so that your weights are accessible. Knees are bent, feet planted. So you breathe into the ribs. Inhale. And exhale, imprint the low spine into the mat. The ribs will glide toward the pelvis. And then inhale, widen, release. Exhale, imprint, low spine. Inhale, widen, release. Two more this way. It's a small imprint. Exhale, imprint. Inhale, release. Now with the slight draw of the ribs toward the pelvis, that slight little imprint, keep it there, but inhale with the imprint and exhale with the imprint. Inhale with the imprint and exhale with the imprint. Continue that as you take those weights directly in line with the shoulder, lift them up overhead. And test the waters here. One arm reaches overhead, the other to your side, palms are facing in. And return. Other side. Keeping the ribs nice and drawn in. It's subtle, but it's there. Arms may come overhead a lot, they may not. And then return to center here. Really let the shoulder caps ground and then reach toward the sky and let them ground. This is where the weights are kind of nice. Lift and ground. Keeping the ribs integrated. One more reach, ground, and then both arms might come overhead. This will make it more challenging to keep those ribs integrated. And then return. Soon we'll be working with a yoga breath based off of this. Arms overhead and return. The reason we're doing this is ribs integrated will stretch the shoulders more, because often we'll flare the ribs to compensate for tension and tightness in the shoulders. This is just to determine and help with what comes next. One more time, reach the arms overhead. And then bring them back and release them. Hands again, reach without the weights overhead. So up above. And if you have that blanket there, the arms or hands might rest on it as you flip the palms to face the sky. And here, still that sense that the ribs, here I'll exaggerate it, are integrated. and see if you can maintain that integration and breathe in to the low ribs, upper belly, and exhale without changing the position of the spine. Inhale and exhale. You might even let the ribs release just to feel the difference. You may feel less of a stretch. And then return to that slight imprint. Feel how the breath is three-dimensional. Notice where it goes when the ribs are integrated. If there's not enough stretch, remove the blanket. Set the tone here for the practice. One more inhale and exhale. As you bend the elbows, hands may or may not slide on the earth. They could be lifted. Reach them overhead. And ribs, or not ribs, elbows toward ribs. Two more. This can feel a little awkward for some. Last one, reach. And draw to your sides. Take the hands, the backs of thighs, give them a nice little hug here. And roll onto your favorite side. Watch out for any weights. So you can press yourself up. We'll find our way into dragon, that low lunge position. So the right leg will come forward. Hands to the inseam to begin. This is often where we stay. With our focus on upper body as part of our full body practice, roll up through the spine and stay tall. Press back, shin down. Lean into this just a little until you feel a nice stretch sensation in front of the hip. Take that that left arm overhead, tricep stretch here. So take your hand to the back of the upper arm. And here, naturally, we want to extend, but let's integrate the ribs. They glide again toward the pelvis, so there isn't an overarch in the low back. And we'll stay here for our dragon. The arms too much, don't need to do it. But see, you can find the tricep stretch. Press the hips slightly forward. The ribs drawn in. Nice long spine. If you're well balanced, maybe you close the eyes or keep them open but soft to maintain balance and focus. Is your head starting to drop forward? If so, press it into that forearm. Press it into the arm overhead. And check in with the ribs. A little more work here in this lifted variation. The arms just become too much, or you feel like you've stretched enough there. Maybe open the arms. Could flip the palms so that they face back, thumbs back. Reach the arms closer toward one another to stretch through the biceps. One more inhale here. Nice job. Exhale, hands come to the inseam. Lift the kneecap. Lower that kneecap so that you can slide that right leg long. Widen the knees as you'd like. Perhaps take that bolster for child's pose. This bolster's nice. You don't want to go as deep with the child pose. You can put it right underneath the pelvis or right underneath the pelvis. And let the shoulders relax. The belly soften. Turn the head the other way if the head was turned. Final inhale here. And exhale the head back to center. As you lift your way up, remove perhaps pillow or bolster. One little lean back here, open up through the fronts of the legs. Let's do that again with the hips. Final time, lift and lower hips down. Let's slide onto the belly, bolster off to that right hand side again. Come into a Sphinx pose. It's a little pause before we take dragon on the other side. Lower back down, slide hands in so you can press up and bring that left knee forward. Find what works for you. Need a little support under the knee. You know, that blanket can go under there. As you come upright, nice and tall. And that right arm can reach overhead, bend at the elbow, clasp, back of arm. Find your tricep stretch as you press through feet and shin. Where's the mind? Is it in the body? Is it integrated and connected to sensation? Or searching to escape? Through chatter, mind stuff. Just notice. You can do this. As long as it's not painful. Stay steadfast. Notice the quality of the breath. If it's long and strong, you're in the right place. Inhale. And maybe if you did so on the other side, you release the arms. Again, open across the heart. And turn the thumbs toward one another behind your body. Maybe draw them in a little. Maybe bring the arms directly out from the shoulder, both arms extended, palms out. Stretch across the whole of each arm. Good effect this has on the hip. Inhale, arms can reach overhead. And we'll exhale to bring them to the inseam of the lead leg, to lift back knee. And pause. And lower back knee. Child's pose, perhaps this time with the legs closer together, hips distance or closer. And allow the belly to drape onto the legs. Could also have that blanket here on the lap that's accessible. And slide those hands behind the body. Do whatever feels good. Restorative style child's pose. Another inhale. And exhale to rise. Now, if full saddle is not in your practice, you could lie on your belly like so. Still find stretch through the front line. Or if you practice full saddle, the bolster can come behind you. Oops. If you have sensitivity in the tops of the feet, the blanket could be underneath the shins and feet. From here, widen the knees and lift the hips and sink back down. Maybe you stay right here. Maybe you find that bolster or stack of bolsters. This will open across the heart. So quads, but also still into the arms. You can stack the pillows as high as you need and make more of a ramp so you can find some ease. And explore the arms. Maybe they're closer to the hip, the thighs. Maybe they're directly out to the sides, whatever feels good. Overhead works for some. Feel different sensations into the shoulders that way. Can you soften the eyes in their sockets? Smooth the forehead, scalp, the brain. There's nothing to do here. Just be. Inhale and exhale. Mindfully take those hands, if you're in the full saddle, to the ankles or shins. We want to minimize rotation, come up with a nice long spine here. So inhale and exhale to press onto forearms, to come up onto hands without twisting. And pause at the top as you roll your head toward the right, stretch the neck. If you're in Sphinx, you could look over one shoulder. Switch sides or look over opposite shoulder. One more inhale and bring the head back to center. Sweep the legs in front of the body. You can take that bolster from behind you, if it was there, and rest bolster / pillows on your lap. Although before you do that, if hyperextender, that blanket underneath the backs of the knees. Otherwise, that stack of pillows. So perhaps you can drape your body over and let the back round now, if it feels good. And then you can soften those feet as long as there's no hyperextension. Let the shoulders slide away from the ears. This is too much. You could lie on your back and take 10 breaths. Stretch with a hamstring stretch, bringing that right leg in. And then you could switch after 10 breaths. Just another option. You know your body best. Lengthening out the back line counterpose to what we just did. Breathe into the back of the heart as you remain here. You might visualize sheaths and layers of fascia, and the ground substance between them, the gel-like substance that can get a little sticky as we practice yin. The chemical reactions start to take place in the body. It will start to liquefy. Things will start to become more supple. The layers will slide and glide. The tissues will uncoil to bring new hydration and vitality. A few more breaths here. Inhale. And exhale, stack the spine. Pause at the top. Our next yin pose, we'll explore shoelace, the possible arm variations. If you find you tend to round back and have trouble sitting up tall, you could take the blanket underneath your seat and start with the right leg. Prepare the hip. Leg could come in front. Flexed foot could also cross to stack the shins as best you're able. Very tight today. There may be a big gap or a small gap. Me, I'm going to start here today. Very telling. And lean forward. Notice your experience. Sense into that right glute and IT band. And you could stay here or carry on with the posture. However, sit up and take that right arm across the body. Opposite hand will come to the upper arm for a deltoid stretch here. Stretch the front of the shoulder quite a bit. Here we get into the back of the shoulder. If it's too much to have the arm extended, you could bend the elbow and rest the hand on the upper back. This upper arm presses into the hand and the hand presses back as we sit tall. A few more breaths. And the legs stay as they are, but the arm opens out. Other arm can also reach back. Reach the arms overhead, interlace fingers, press palms to the sky, let the shoulder blades glide down the back, and then press away, glide, and press. And then release the arms to your sides, fingertips down, drop the chin, lower the head over to one side, and opposite side. Come back to center. One more opportunity to lean forward. And sit up tall. Release that top right leg. Might extend the legs. Support yourself with your hands. Notice if there's any achiness, that's natural, as long as there's nothing sharpshooting. And prepare for the opposite side. That right leg will come underneath, left one on top. Prepare the hip. And perhaps that leg's in front, perhaps it's crossed. You might change your position after the first minute or so. Yes, we like to cultivate stillness in yin. However, we do what's right for the body and we move at its pace. Perhaps the lean forward for some time. How long can you make your spine and how grounded can the pelvis be? What can you soften? Two more breaths. Inhale. And you might stay, or you might exhale to sit up tall, still in the shoelace. Take that left arm across the body, other hand to upper arm. Draw that left shoulder back toward its socket a little. If this is too much, cup the back shoulder. And you might do a little bit of both. Is there any gripping? Is there any way to release that? Or is this beyond the window of tolerance for your body now? Because then adjust. Your body has its own history, its own experiences. Honor it. Inhale and exhale to open the arms. Perhaps turn the thumbs back to stretch into the bicep. Really getting into everything here today. And press the room away. And lift the arms overhead. Maybe cross the thumbs away that doesn't feel as natural before you press the palms toward the sky. And again, those shoulder glides, let the shoulders descend and then lift. Scapula, shoulder blades glide along the back. And those hands will come back down, sweep head one way, and sweep head opposite way. Come back to center, stack the cervical vertebra, and lean forward. Just to notice if it's different than when you first started the class. And sit up nice and tall and let go of that leg. Maybe come into a V. Maybe you're not your widest V. And walk the fingers out. Hold. Soften feet, dragonfly. Keep the dragonfly legs. But roll up. If you can reach one of those pillows, take it. And reach the arms out on it. You can cup kind of the far side of the pillow with your fingers. And if you're fortunate enough to have a bolster, something that's really nice for the shoulders is to stand it tall, hands cup the short end, and we lean the body forward. I'll show you from the side here. Just different variations, fun to play with. Kind of like the stretch we get in a child's pose. Inhale and exhale to stack the spine. You have that bolster or pillow, set it off to the left-hand side as you use the hands to support the legs to come together. Perhaps a little hug. Oh. Before you find your way into your back, perhaps you roll into your side and onto your back. And lengthen out that left leg. If you'd like a neutral rotation, they could also be stacked. And that pillow, whatever you have, might come in handy. So you shift your hips a little to the right and take that right leg over to the left-hand side. Open across the arms to again get into the upper body and maybe play with long arms or cactus arms. Get into a different part of the chest. As the practice begins to become more quiet, observe this silence, this stillness. Take an inhale and an exhale. Perhaps on the next inhale, bring your arms out into a Y. See how that feels in the shoulders. Wiggle the fingers. And release that. Roll onto your spine. Mhm. And before we move to the other side, move the bolster to the right-hand side. And a stretch for the side body. Lengthen both legs and take them over to that left side. Arc the body, heading to Banasana here, this banana shape or moon shape. And if you need more, you cross the right leg and clasp that same wrist. Hips grounded. A little more for the entire side of the body. Full body stretch. You might feel this from the side of the foot all the way up to the pinky finger. How far can your awareness extend? Final inhale and exhale. Ha. As you bring everything back to center. And that left leg can hug in. Actually, shift the hips a little first and hug it in. And bring it across the body. Perhaps the inner thigh lands on a pillow, bolster if it needs to. Again, you might start with the arms outstretched from the shoulder. Or again, play with that cactus. Notice how that gets into a different area of the pectorals. Inhale and notice how far the breath travels through the body. Exhale, ha. Perhaps on the next inhale, extend the arms out into a Y. Few breaths. Again, mind your shoulders, do what's right for you. Inhale. Exhale to rebend the elbows. Little pause. And now inhale. And exhale to roll onto your back. Ha. Move any pillows slightly away from you. And outstretch the legs. And sweep them to the right. Find your Banasana here. Arms reached overhead. Clasp wrist or left wrist, and same leg could cross. Breathe into the sides of the ribs. Let that breath extend all the way down the sides of the body. From pinky edge to outer foot, outer ankle. Feel that long line as you inhale. And exhale back to center. A few options here for Savasana. Could take the pillow behind the back of the knees. And extend the legs long. Or for something different, if you'd like more stretch in the neck, could roll onto the belly. Perhaps remove any glasses. And take your gaze over to one side. That ear or the opposite ear will come down. And take some breaths into the low back. Inhale. And exhale to turn the head the opposite way.
Inhale. And exhale, head back to center. Would take the hands underneath the forehead or outstretch the arms in this posture of surrender. Sense your front body on the earth or back body if you're on your spine. Sense the surface underneath you. And if you're on your belly, slide your hands in and press into a child's pose. If you're on your back, a knee hug. If in child's pose, sweep your hands to the right. Nice long stretch here. And over to the left. Or you return to center. Rock the forehead on the earth. And those on their backs can roll to their favorite side. Breathe into the low back. And then we'll all meet in seated. So find your position, grounded through your seat, tall through the spine. As the arms come up and bring the hands through to heart center. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Peace, peace, peace.